Hello everyone, good afternoon and welcome to our very first Q&A of Virtually Fringe. So I'll just wait for a couple of people to jump on. Wait for everyone to come on. Don't know whether I'm lagging or not. If I'm lagging already, it's going to be a great live. I feel very high tech today. I've got my laptop ready with all my little questions, which is great. So today we have a live Q&A for our first Virtually Fringe with the wonderful Elly J. And just waiting to see if Elly jumps on. Or Elly, if you're already watching, you should see a thing that says request to go live with me. Hope everyone's having a good day. Oh, yeah. Requests.
Hello!
Hello! How are you?
This is actually my first live video.
Stop.
Oh, it is.
Oh
So
my.
count yourself lucky. No, I'm joking.
How are you?
I'm good. How are you?
All high tech today. I've got my laptop out. I've got all the questions. Very.
Do you know what? It's getting a bit crackly. I'm sitting by my window. I'm going to move more to central in the house. Might be a little bit better if I do that.
If you're still watching live, can you drop in the comments? Both sound okay? I can see watching.
You're like coming and going, but
If it's better with some headphones.
But yeah, how's your week been?
We are doing good. We are very excited, obviously, to be launching our Virtually Fringe. So that's very exciting.
Yeah, super exciting.
Oh, Tom says sounds great. Maybe I don't need to put these in.
Okay.
So, just to get us started,
Yes.
can you tell everyone a little bit about you, like who you are?
Well,
I obviously know you, but tell.
So, Elly J. I studied at the MG Academy of Performing Arts in Edinburgh. I graduated, I think it was 2014 or 15, can't remember, 14 maybe. And I've just been performing since, singing, dancing, acting, a wee bit modelling on the side, done a few kind of social advertisement, not like TV advertisement, but just things to kind of get by while I lived in London for a while. My first job was in my second year. I got pantomime, panto, and then my third year I got panto as well. But since after graduating, my first job was a cruise ship with P&O. I'm gonna put this down. P&O on the Britannia. I was their third cast, so the ship was only a year and a half old, which was really good. The shows were brand new, and the stage was all brand new, so it was really nice. And the costumes were brand new. That's the one thing. Yeah, but
That's the most important.
Yeah, and then after my cruise, I had auditioned for Universal Studios. And just one day when I was in dock, I was just like, do you know what, I'm going to go to London, I'm going to audition and then come back. And I was like, please don't. I thought I was going to be late and then I wouldn't get on the ship again. But and then when I came home, I think it was just luck of the draw, really, at the right time. They were looking for a singer dancer at basically my agent at the time, MGA Management. They were casting musical Star Nights, and they needed a singer dancer, and it just so happened I was there at the time, and I was just like, I'm home. Do you want me? So I auditioned for that, sent them my material, got that, which is a European tour around Denmark, Germany and Austria. which was really fun. And then after that, when I was in rehearsals, actually, I got the job for Universal Studios. So I went over there thinking I was going to be there for a year, but then I really enjoyed it. Like I loved living in Japan. And auditions came round again for a second year, and I was just like, you know what, I'm going to do it. But I went in with the mindset of I'm only going to do super swing. If I don't get super swing, then I won't stay on. And I got super swing. So super swing, if people don't know, it means that you do all of the shows in the park, all except from Harry Potter. Um, and yeah, just learn all those roles. So then when someone calls out, you have to jump ship and go somewhere else. And then very, very, very tiring role, but it gives you so much experience, like, and it's great on your CV as well. So yeah, and then I came home. Sorry, I'm literally like giving you everything.
Your CV, if anyone's watching, Elly's CV is like gold dust because I think it's the longest musical theatre CV I think I've ever seen.
Well, I like to dip my toe in each little pool.
You're like,
Yeah.
I've never seen it more, hun.
But yeah, so after where was I? After Japan, yeah. After Japan, I came home and I auditioned for Ghost, Das Musical, Ghost the Musical, over in Germany. And at that time, I actually got offered, the day before, I got offered another ship on We Will Rock You as cover Oz. And then the next day I had got offered Ghost the Musical, and it was it was one of the hardest decisions I've had to make because I really wanted to go away on another ship. And I was just like, oh, I just want to explore. But at the same time, Ghost, it was an on-land musical, and it was like, I think this is the best option I mean, yeah. So I chose that, and I loved living in Stuttgart as well. That show was all in German, so that was another experience that lived. So yeah, just learning everything in German, and you've got to kind of be on the front foot with things. You need to be active learning the language as well. It was the same in Japan. Like, they're very set in their ways. They like you to kind of make an effort in Japanese, so you've got to pick up the chat along the way. But yeah, and then I got casting on your feet, and then Corona happens.
And then Corona, yeah.
Yeah.
So that was kind of a really brief overview of your CV from like start to finish. So let's jump back right now, and let's talk about your training. Obviously, as you were saying, you've trained at the MG Academy. So when you were training there, did you feel like, obviously the MG Academy is running to this day, so
they're just getting
fantastic.
bigger and bigger, aren't they?
Absolutely. It just produces fantastic performers. But obviously, would you say back in the day that you were like really based and new and everything like that? Would you say the chances that you had as a performer going straight from MG Academy were really great? Say that you were put in for a lot of different things, even when you were still training.
Sorry, you keep breaking up. Say that last bit again.
I think you froze there as well.
It's maybe my internet, sorry.
I was just going to say, see, when you were training, obviously with MG Academy, they have the in-training books, which is something that I don't know if everywhere has. So do you feel like you got to train as well as work at the same time? Do you think that only benefit you for moving forward?
In college, they don't really like you to go and work while you're in training. That's your time for training. You pay to go to training, so it's like, why should you be away in a job already when this is your time to train? So luckily enough, the pantomime that I was first cast in, MG management were casting that. And no, they weren't casting that one. I think they cast the next one, or it was another one that I had auditioned for. Can't remember, but sorry. But I was just luckily, if you were in a pantomime, you weren't in the Christmas show.
Okay.
So, and a lot of the time during your college hours, that is when they're rehearsing for the college show. So it's like, if you're not in the college show, then you're not going to be training every day. So it's like they don't really want to put you forward for things. But if, I don't know, it depends on the circumstance. But I was very, very lucky in the year that I was in that they kind of had this branch off of an agency, because it started as a college and then they were like, let's create an agency, and now they're two separate things. But I was very lucky. And to be honest, in my year, you still had to audition for the agency. Like, they still essentially were there for your showcase in London. But yeah, I guess I was lucky that my year were allowed to audition for a pantomime. But when it came to our end of year show, they were like, no, we don't want anybody to go audition.
Yeah.
It was the scary thing, I remember. It was like, I really want to go to this audition, and I'm scared to ask, because they're like, no, you can't. But they're like, but I really want to go. It's like, well, this is your training time. You've got all the time in the world after you come out of college to audition.
Yeah, absolutely. So before you started your training, did you go to any like youth theatre classes? Always into theatre? Was it always something that you wanted to do, or?
I'm quite different to everybody else. When I was younger, all I wanted to do was just sing and dance. I didn't really know about the musical theatre kind of side of things. And I was chatting with one of my friends, and he was just like, you should maybe audition for these colleges. And I actually got into Telford in their dance course.
Oh.
Yeah, and now I think back and I'm just like, how different my life would be. And it was during the time of like money crisis in the UK, and they had basically cut a load of courses. So my course got cut, and everywhere else had auditioned already, and they were like, we're not doing any more auditions. And luckily enough, MG were the last. Me and another girl were the last two to be accepted in my year. And I don't know, just see how things just happen in your life. And it's just like, if that was to be different, my whole life would be different. So, but yeah, it's strange. But when I was younger, I went to the theatre group. I was in singing singing. Well, it wasn't singing lessons. It was like just like a hobby singing concert kind of group. Who we put on like a annual singing concert to like the people at the church. So I did that for maybe 10 years. And then dancing, just hobby, every week, like 3 times a week. And then I was involved in the local pantomimes as well, and the local summer shows, just anything theatrical I was like involved in. But then I remember I went to not swimming lessons. Well, it was like the swimming team. And they were like, look, if you can't make club night, then we can't have you here. And I was like, well, I pick pantomime over the swimming team. But
I know.
I was a big busy kid when it came to theatre and singing. And my gran always tells me, she's like, you could never really sing until you went to college. And I was like, thanks, Gran. She was just like, I mean, you could sing a little tune, but you couldn't sing. And I was just like, thanks, Gran.
Was a tune, but when you went to train, you got good.
Yeah, so MGA is very good for teaching sing.
Because when people have like these different, I don't know, like, you know, when you're growing up and you want to be a fireman or a policewoman, you know, when you have all these different things, I always think it's funny because majority of the time, when an MT kid or theatre kid, we've always been like, I want to be a star. Yeah. I want to be like, that's just always happened.
I feel like throughout college, I was the one that didn't really know much about musical theatre, and it was a few of the time it was like, you don't know who that person is, and I was just like, no. But now I feel like I've had to catch up a lot because I don't know all that, like lyricists and stuff. Like I was just like, right,
Yeah.
okay. But now, like studying, I feel like I had to work a lot harder because I wasn't already in that circle of musical theatre. When I first came, I was like pop singing. I used a pop song to sing. The only musicals I knew was We Will Rock You, Lion King, Wicked, and that was
Well,
really about it. Like, because from where I'm from, I'm up north. I'm in Aberdeen, so like it's not like I could go to London to see shows all the time, and it's very seldom that we get tours come up to Aberdeen as well. So, but yeah,
yeah. I always you go to college. People think that you just like sing and dance all day, but like you start
even if you do, it's hard.
oh yeah, um, and you start to learn that there's so much more to musical theatre. Probably probably should know, but you didn't. Like all of this stuff about like we have musical theatre rep class where you like expand on the rep. You start to know what you're castable as, what you could be
Yeah,
cast as, and that's a huge topic. Like we could spend Q&A just talking
yeah.
about rep and castability. Um, like
That's yeah. Sorry, I'm just saying like that is such a biggie, and it's frustrating because you kind of have always sang the song, and it's like I really like the song, and they're like, but you're never going to be cast as that. It's like you need to be what 6 foot. I'm 5'3". I'm just like they're like you're not going to be cast as that, and I'm just like oh okay.
sometimes it is down to the silliest things. Like it could be nothing to do with race or how you look. Sometimes it's literally like you are too small, and
Mm,
that's changeable. Like unless you get some,
yeah, and sometimes the likes of if it's Disney, it comes down to the fact of if you suit the wig. It's like you don't look Disney princess enough. So yeah,
let's delve into. So it was Japan first. Kind of talk
yes,
about and was like the first kind of abroad job. Well, do you want to talk about a cruise? Will we talk about the cruise?
we can chat about anything you like.
Let's chat the cruise first. So obviously you cruised with P. Would
Yeah.
you say how would you say the audition process was? How would you say the actual cruise ship was? Um,
Sorry, I'm laughing because my audition was hilarious.
for P&O?
I ran it, well, it was my recall. So the first day I went and I luckily got a private with MGA management. They got me into the room for a private singing. And I sang and they were like, we would like to see you tomorrow. And I had another audition somewhere else in like the other side of London. And I was just like, all right, okay. That was actually there was a theme park in Dubai, the Lazy Town one. I went to audition for Stephanie. And I basically had to do their audition first and then run to the other side of London for my recall. And I remember barging in the room because the last girl had just came out, and I'd said to the people sitting there, I was like, "Has everybody gone?" And they were like, "Yeah, I think she's the last girl to go in." And well, she just came out, and I barged in the room, and I was like, "I made it! I've made it! I'm here!" Because I had said to them on the first day, I have another audition. I'll try and make it, and they were like, "What? Half one is the cut-off line. If you can't make it, then you can't make it. If you can make it, you can't. You can't." And I barged in, and you know, like in Pineapple or whatever, it's like the top floor, and you're like, like up like 6 flights of stairs, and I literally barged in. And I was like, "I made it! I'm here! I'm here!" And they were like, "Okay, if you just catch your breath, and you could come back in." And then, yeah, I ended up getting the job, and I was just like, it's just always the funniest auditions that is like but they were lovely, like really, really lovely. It was Alan and Sharon. It was Kudos production. So there's pantomime Kudos productions, but it's like branched off in two different sections, and they're really lovely. And I had a really good audition. I just felt really confident in a way. And I was the youngest one in the room, so I was just like, oh, like questioning, oh, are they gonna want me because they've got an older cast? But I didn't know that they were looking at me as the singer dancer because you've got two boys, two girls, and then a singer dancer. vocal wise, and then you've got your dancers. And I remember we had to sing "Let Me Be Your Star," and it was all in like 4-part harmony, and I was like doing the belt bit, and they kept like walking by and listening. I was like, I'm not cracking, I'm gonna do this. I was like, I'm getting this job, and luckily enough I got it. But
I've never heard of Let Me Be Your Star.
yeah, that was in the singers show. But I loved my cruise. I absolutely loved it, and it's a really good company to work for as well. But unfortunately, the Britannia isn't with Kudos anymore. Yeah, so but with the company that they're with now, I'm too short to be in the cast apparently. So, right, yeah.
See that, like how things were cast in that ship, and then
I know.
so changeable. So huge. So I mean, Japan, even geographically, from Aberdeen, it's like
I know.
it,
People always ask me, they're like, did you ever think about going to Japan before you got the job? I was just like, no. But I'm so glad I did it. Like, I honestly love Japan. Like, the country is just beautiful to look at, but just their mentality. I think they kind of believe in a lot of reincarnation, and everything needs to be respected. So they treat everything with utter respect. And it's just, they go by the rules. There's no rule breaking. Which is a bit fresh. It's much more fresh than Scotland.
If anyone watching aware, we're both Scottish, and we break the rules quite a lot. I mean, not with coronavirus. We've been probably the best when it comes to coronavirus.
Yes. Nicky
Scottish
Sturge.
people tend to be a wee bit rebellious. We like when we're let's not get political. So how did you find working in the actual park? Let's start with. So
sorry. First of all, can you hear that revving outside?
I was going to say that. What is that?
My brother just got a new motorbike.
Oh.
And he's showing his friends, so I'll move. Yeah, so basically with do you want to know about the audition process with Japan or just living there?
Both.
Right, well, I was very lucky situations. I had auditioned for Universal the year before, and I had to say to them, well, I've now got a job on a cruise ship, so I want to pull myself out of the kind of the audition process. And I had gotten down to the final 5 for Hip and Hop in the first year I had auditioned, and it was a really lovely audition. They're just so nice, and it's quite a big panel. But I only really worked with. I saw one of the JB who's on the panel. I saw him now and again because he lives in Japan. Todd, who's the MD, who plays the piano in the audition, he worked with us in Monsters. He was our MD for rehearsals, but the rest of the panel we didn't really see much. I think they're just more so the producers and directors for the audition tour. But also the casting is up right now if you do want to audition. It's on Spotlight. And they're also opening one in Hong Kong. I mean, yeah, Hong Kong and Japan. So they're
if on Spotlight, these auditions also go up on, if you type in open auditions.
Yes.
And no matter or not, that's all of these kind of good tips. Sorry.
Yeah. No, it's okay. So yeah, when I went in the audition room, it was just I had to sing Hot Stuff. They were like, sing it really cutesy, like you're 16 years old. So I was like, okay. And they were like you want to bob your head about. So I did that, and then I had to come back the next day.
Are we talking about the same, like Donna Summer, Hot Stuff?
Yeah. Hot Stuff, baby, see it. Yeah, that one. Yeah. That's the Hip and Hop song, and I Will Survive is Bride's song.
Okay.
And it's been the same for years.
Right one.
And yeah, so I did that and then came back the next day for the recall and got a message saying you've got the job. And not, no, that's a lie. I didn't get the job that time. I said no because I had my cruise. So luckily enough, the next year, when I docked on my ship, we docked on a Saturday. The audition was on the Sunday for the hip and hop. And I had messaged the office and was like, hey, like I auditioned last year, I got down to the finals, can I please like come on it was the day for bride auditions. And the office said no, but I had also messaged the casting director because I had obviously spoken with him the year prior, but he said yes. So if I didn't, I'm not saying message the casting director, but if I hadn't messaged him, I wouldn't have been in Japan for 2 years. So, because the office said no to me, but I was just like, well, the office said no, but JP said yes, so I'm just gonna go. And yeah, got the job.
I feel like, are you quite into like manifestation? Do you like?
Yeah.
I knew you were.
Like, I used to be like, oh, I'm probably not gonna get it, blah blah blah. But if I go into an audition and I'm like, I'm gonna get this, then like most of the time I will. But if I do feel that it's maybe not right for me, the job, like it might not just be that either. It might just be when you're in the audition room and you see who the casting team like and who they want to see again. You kind of know, oh, you're freezing. You kind of know that you kind of know in that moment. You're like, oh well, they're looking at another kind of. Can you hear me? It's breaking up. Hello.
I was going to say this must be an thing. Our director Tom is from Aberdeen, and his signal always goes as well. We lost the last bit about all of the audition process, and if you hadn't gone, and we lost that bit in manifest.
Yeah.
We lost all that.
I feel like if I go to an audition, all the time, most of the time, I'll have a chat with myself, and I'm like, I'm gonna get this job. But then that's easily changed when you go in the room and you feel the vibe, and then you kind of know what they're looking for when they watch other people. So it's like, oh, if they're not watching you, it's like, oh, well, I'll maybe try and do something to get their attention. But if you can see who they're looking at, you know what they're looking for. So that sometimes changes in your head when you're like, I'm going to get this job. Like, manifest it in your head.
I was going to say that because everything just seems to like fall magically. Like, imagine if you weren't audition on the sun. Imagine that. Like, what would...
I feel like the easy auditions I've not gotten, but the ones that like, not easy auditions, but I mean as in like the things that I'll have like so much stress over getting to, and I'm like, that went so horrible, and then it's like, oh, they like you, and I'm like, oh, okay. It's usually the ones that I'm like stressing over and panicking over that I did horrendous that I've probably gotten.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Did you find, I mean, Japan is like, obviously it's half the world away in terms of like geography, like we said, but like I feel like it's such a different way of life. Did you find like how many packets of potato scones did you take with you? Like,
oh, I was missing the iron brew. They have an international store, but it's quite expensive. Like a bottle of ketchup's like £8. Like I'm like, come on. Yeah.
Oh.
And I love my ketchup. But yeah, they've got things like that, but you do miss the home comforts, but family end up taking things like along and giving you like a little care package. And anytime anyone goes back to the UK, you'll say to them like, can you buy me a packet of digestives? Or but yeah, bring me all. But yeah, no, I absolutely love Japan. Like it was so good. And you do miss home, but at the same time, everybody, you're like, it's such a good contract. You're very lucky that they house you. everybody's in one big apartment block. You've got a little lounge area downstairs that you can essentially like book out and write your name, and you have it for a certain amount of time. They've got a little workout room as well. They've got a little bar, which has actually been done by a veteran of USJ. So like it's his bar, and then we've got like a little like a front desk bit where security sits just in case like anybody that comes in isn't from USJ. But yeah, everybody's got their own apartments, and yeah, it's such a good contract that I would advise anybody to do if they want to leave home, if they want to work away. Yes, it's far away, but at the same time, you meet friends so quick because you literally live with the people you work with, which in time sometimes can be a bit like, oh, but it happens, you know. But yeah, very, very lucky. And you get to explore as well. Like I saw a lot of different countries whilst I was there.
100%. Moving on to the penultimate question. So the penultimate question being, when you did Ghost musical, obviously in German.
Yes.
So basically, I think when I was speaking about this Q&A, I was like, okay, I'm really going to complain about how the Holy France did she learn a whole musical in German. Obviously, picking up the language, like sometimes, did you even know what you were saying? Like,
so I did German in school as a standard grade. So I don't know if for anyone else's schools, but it was either German or French. And I did German, and I remember I remember actually saying to myself in German, being like, in my class, being like, I'm never going to use German. Like, I don't need this. And then I was just like, oh, rubbish. So I kind of remembered things from that class. I say remembered things, but the odd word, not an actual sentence.
Yeah.
But I was luckily enough cast in Musical Star Nights, my tour, and it was half British people, half German people. So the songs were all mainly in English, but half of them, like maybe a third of them, were in German. And the German people sang the German ones, but for us, we had to learn maybe 2 or 3 choral numbers with the whole ensemble. So I don't know, it's something new to just learn and study, because like once you've learned your stuff, you've learned it, like you know it. But when it comes to a different language, it's like, oh, I need to perfect this because I don't want to look silly singing lyrics that's not right. So with Ghost das Musical, because I had that on my CV and because I had written in brackets Deutsch next to my tour, I think they were like, right, well, she must be able to speak some German. And then before we got the score sent to us, so I just translated everything. I mean, I was very lucky that it was Ghost, because I know the story of Ghost. It's one of my favourite movies. And you kind of just know what it's about, and because Google Translate can be wrong sometimes. Very wrong. But yeah, I managed to just translate the whole thing so I kind of knew what I was singing about. But after a while, if you don't keep studying it, if you don't keep like connecting with the lyrics, then you do kind of forget what you are, like it's just words coming out of your mouth. But yeah, and they're very good over there as well. You don't have to sing a German song for the audition.
oh, that's good.
They just want to know if you can sing. Unless they give you callback material, then yes, you do.
You do. I popped up some questions.
Oh, yes.
That people ask. How do you balance exploring places on tour and resting?
Oh. If it comes to tour, you're on a bus, so there's nothing else much to do on a bus, so you just try and sleep. But yeah, you just kind of listen to a lot of podcasts as well. But more to the question, how do you balance exploring places and touring? When I was in Japan, I know my body, like I know if I need sleep. So I just kind of, yes, the odd time I'll be on holiday and I'm like, oh, I'm so tired. But you need to balance it. Like I'll have a little long lie in, and then I know if I want to go exploring, I need to be able bish bash bosh. Like, okay, I've seen it. Next place. Okay, I've seen it. But you just know your body, really. You know your body over time, what it needs rest wise.
These questions. Is it good to know some of the language from the country you are working in?
Yes, yes. The people in my cast in Ghost, the only people that didn't really speak fluent was me and my friend Chris. But Chris was cast in Starlight, so he had already learnt a whole German show. And I had my tour, so I had that on it as well. But if you need to remember as well, if you have German on your CV, or if you have French on your CV, or any language on your CV, then they can literally ask you in the audition room, like, well, come on, speak to me in it. Do you know what I mean? Like, I actually had that I auditioned for We Will Rock You for the European tour. And I had said to him, because when I was in Germany as well, I went to school. I went to actual Deutsch school to learn more of the language because I wanted to work over there more. And but Corona happened. And I remember in my We Will Rock You audition, the MD was like, so do you speak much German? And I was like, oh, well, like a little bit. Like, I'm in Ghost and I'm at school. And then he started speaking to me in German. And I was just like, I'm going to chat back to him in German. And he was like, oh, she does speak German. But I know if I didn't speak German and I said and tried to lie about it, because a few people kind of try and do that, then you just make a fool of yourself. So
yeah.
You're always, always best. Just find that passion to like be like, I don't want to look silly. And at the same time, like, you're in their country. So you need to make an effort, you know?
I'm just putting in the comments, what are the coolest musicals you would like to work at?
I'd love to be in Six. I'd love to be in Six. Yeah, it would be a really, really good show to be in. I remember when I was younger, I really wanted to be in Matilda. But as years go on, you kind of start looking a bit older and you don't look like a child anymore.
You could be a good Miss Honey in a couple, like, 10 years' time.
Yeah. Well, hopefully. But yeah, there's a girl that played the child swing. Well, it was the swing for the kids. I think also Matilda, maybe, and Miss Honey. And I was like, oh, I'd love to do that. But unfortunately enough, the musicals that I want to go for, I've not been home in the UK for the actual audition. And it's very, very, very seldom they'll take a self-tape. And just being on my cruise or in Japan, I couldn't just fly home on audition or hop off an audition. So it's just been timing as well. I got an audition for Wicked in Germany the other day and I had broke my pinky toe, so I couldn't go, and I was just so annoyed.
I suppose this kind of answers the next question too. What's the best and worst thing about working abroad?
Just flights. They're so expensive. But nah. Being a bit homesick now and again. I've got 2 nieces and a nephew now. So before they were born, I didn't miss home at all. But now that they're around, I miss them a lot more. Just seeing little videos being sent to me, I'm like, oh, I wish I was home. But best and worst thing about working abroad, it could be upon culture as well. Like, if it's a cultural place that you enjoy working in, then it's good. But if it's somewhere that is very out of your comfort zone, then you might not enjoy it that much.
What are the pitfalls to watch when touring?
The pitfalls? Is it
like
the negatives?
I think you mean what are the things that you could get like caught up in, or what are the things that you could get like
spending a lot of money when you're touring, if you're abroad and you're like me, I like to explore, and it's very hard to save money if you're constantly going about everywhere. So you need to have that balance of saving and exploring at the same time. If you're working on a tour or abroad or anywhere, you just have to always be mindful of your cast members. Like, you need to remember how long you're going to be spending with them, and you don't want to ever be falling out with people. So it's always good to just get along with everybody, because like I know a lot of people have had bad experiences with their cruise ships or tours, and they've fallen out with people, and it's not nice to be in that vibe, in that mindset at a place of work, because in a tour, work and your personal time is also spent with them. It's not like a 9 to 5 job where you go, you see Bob at work, you don't come back with Bob, you know what I mean? But whereas on a tour or anywhere else, you're just kind of, you can't run away from them, kind of thing, you know what I mean? So you just have to be mindful and respectful.
Where do you look for accommodation when touring? I'm assuming that you were put up everywhere that you went.
So with Japan, they put you up. Cruise ship, they put you up, obviously. The only place that I have had to look for, pantomimes. When it comes to pantomimes, you ask the theatre for a theatre digs list. So they'll give you, basically, say I've got an apartment, it's next to a theatre. I'll go into the theatre and say, look, I have a spare room. If when there's tours that come round or pantomimes and the people aren't from here, they can rent from my room. So they give the theatre their number and amount that they would look for per week. And as a performer, whenever you get pantomime, you'd ask for this theatre digs, and you'd call people around and be like, hey, I'm in the pantomime this winter. I was just wondering if your spare room's available. That's how I got my digs for panto. But when it came to Germany, oh, they stressed me out. They're like, oh, just email us or phone us the month before you start. And I'm like, no. I was like, I need to have an apartment like half a year in advance. I was like, that's stressing me out. And some people that you know from the previous casts in another show that are already in that theatre or in the city, you kind of ask them where they prefer to stay, if they like to stay near the theatre or in the town. I stayed in the town when I was living in Stuttgart, and I loved it, but I just think it was very expensive, and I would have maybe liked to have stayed out in the theatre, because it was just out in like the rural kind of area, like next to the airport.
Okay.
So with that, I just looked at rental companies, and sometimes it's difficult because you have to have a minimum of 6 months rent. Like anything shorter, they wouldn't let you rent. So yeah, and then you obviously have to tell them in advance if you want to keep the apartment or not. But accommodation wise, I think that's about it.
What is it like working in a non-English speaking country?
Working or just socializing? What's it like working? Well, I mean, you have to live there anyway. But when it came to living in Japan, you've got to change your whole life. Like everything, like you're on a train. You're not really supposed to eat on a train. The train's very like in a library. It's very, very quiet. You don't like sing like you're on the ScotRail, like when you're all drunk. Like it's not like that at all. It's very, very reserved. And as I said before, like when you're working in someone else's country, you've got to make an effort. So we were very lucky that at Monsters and Universal, our stage crew a lot, like our management spoke English. They were Japanese, but they were half Japanese, half American, so they could speak English. Whereas the odd person, like they would struggle speaking English, and I was just like, well, at the end of the day, I'm in their country. I should be able to like say some things in Japanese. So it would always be the same conversation, like, how are you? Like in Japanese, like, how are you? Oh, it's cold outside. Like it's just these little things though that make them be like, oh, she's making an effort.
I was going to say that it's better to be having like these tiny little conversations, even though they might be the exact same. I
Yeah,
think people appreciate that more. Like I always think like if you flip it on its head,
yeah.
and if someone from Japan was to come here,
Mm,
and I'm in a
yeah,
non-experience, and I was like having a chat with them, and they were like trying to make conversation in English, I would be like, oh,
they're
like,
really trying. Yeah,
so I think it's the same. It's obviously the same.
yeah,
But no, I totally understand what you mean there. It's just nice
yeah,
when you make an effort, isn't it?
yeah. And it gives you something to do as well, like learn a different language, like explore things.
Oh yeah. How do you deal with the confinement of ship?
I was lucky because my ship was quite big. You've got other ships that are quite small, so I couldn't really comment on that. But you've got to find this time for yourself. You need to enjoy it. You need to enjoy just doing things on your own. Because, as I said, spending a lot of time with your crew members, with your cast, it can be a bit much, and you just need that time yourself. But as I said, like I was very lucky to have quite a big ship. But when you're with a ship, you're always working. If
Mm-hmm.
you're out and about, then you need to be professional. You need to be like, if it's a black tie night, you need to be in your ball gown. You should be like saying hi, like passengers, and you need to be behaving. Like you can't be drunk all the time. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So it's a constant work. Um, but you have your little dates with your cast members. It's like, oh, it's the singers are going away for a meal, all the dancers are going away for a meal. And me being the singer dancer, it was like, who do I go with? And but the thing as well with that is you share a room with your one of your cast members. So if you're a dancer, most of the time dancers have to share, singers get their own cabin, singer dancers have got to share. But if you're on maybe bigger ones or bigger companies, then maybe everybody will get their own room. I don't know. But for me, I had to share. But we were lucky because we had a few people already in relationships. So we had one cabin free, so we just rotated it. So I had my own cabin for 2 months. And but yeah, confinement, you've just got to make your own plan. Don't rely on other people to go and do things with you. Because,
Yeah.
yeah. But the thing is, as well, I wasn't on like, if you go on like a world cruise, you are like doing a lot of sea days. Whereas I was around the Med, Iberia, and the fjords up in Norway. So we only had a maximum of maybe 2 sea days, and during that time you've got to do choir, like the choir class or the dance classes. So we had to do salsa or line dancing, and it's just so funny because you're doing line dancing, and then you've got some Betsy over here, she's just like, that's not how you do it. And I'm just like, I'm sorry. I'm like, I'm not a pro line dancer. I know I'm a dancer, but because like all the grannies, they obviously love line dancing and they know all the moves. And I'm like, I've just made this one up. It's not like an actual known one. But yeah.
It's the last question I ask you before we wrap things up is how have you been doing through lockdown? Have you been I mean, I was just going to say, if anyone has a little snippet of Elly singing earlier, I'm going her to come on and do a live cabaret as well as doing that.
I'd love to. I'd love to do
But yeah, so how have you been through lockdown? What have you been doing? Keep yourself busy?
Oh, well, I was in Germany when this all happened, and I just kind of knew, I was like, I need to get home. I was like, I'm about to be stuck in Germany if I don't fly home. So I had already booked a flight, and luckily enough, I left the next day once our show got cancelled. We got cancelled 10 days short.
Okay.
Um, So I'm lucky I flew home because I would have been stuck because my flight got cancelled. So I flew home the next day, which was very expensive. Came home and I don't know, we all got told it was going to be 3 weeks. Like 4 months down the line, we're gradually opening little bits and bobs up. Like everywhere's been shut down. And I'm just like, what's happened? But I was struggling to start with. I was because being in Germany, I didn't really get to see much of my family. And when I come home, that's my family time. And when I came home, I couldn't see any of my family. I had to see them through a window. But it's not seeing them, it's like hugging them. And like I'm a really like affectionate kind of person, and I just love a hug. And my nieces and my nephew, like not being able to hug them, it ruined my mood. But I was quite low at the start of lockdown, and I managed to pick myself up, get out of it. It took a while, but I feel like a lot of people have been put in that position. Just that whole, I think everyone's a bit anxious to do anything now.
Yeah.
And luckily enough, I have my recording mic, so I've just kind of been working on some stuff. I don't like to post too much until I've properly got like nailed it on the head. But yeah, I've got a wee little business I've got as well. It's called Cards of Self-Love. I sell them $9.99 free UK postage if anyone wants to Instagram at Cards of Self-Love. But yeah, no, it's just like little cards of kind of motivation, inspiration, and part of me was like, look, I can't be selling these if like I don't believe it myself, and that's kind of what kind of put me up a bit about it. And I know a lot of people are struggling through it as well, so I just wanted to help in regards to that. So I've literally got like thousands of boxes just sitting here, like I'm like ready to sell them.
Most of my friends have started up something through, and I think it's great because not only is it getting them doing something, making some sort of an income, be it great or small, whatever it is, but I think things like that have really pulled people out of whatever slump they were in, because I think everybody, like, I don't know about your family, but my mum and I were shielding. We've literally since Friday, and yesterday it was so emotional because we got to join a bubble with my aunt and uncle, and they are so, because we're all so close, and it's my mum's face hug her brother, like, because we've not cuddled anything else apart from
so
my mum and I.
Isn't it? Like,
It's just mental, like. So yeah, I think anything that is going to get people out of a slump that they've been in, or anything at all, you do you boo and enjoy it and sell it. Plug that Cards of Self-Love. I've bought. I've already.
Yeah, you've already got them. Anybody else? But yeah, no, I think it's given people more inspiration and something to focus on.
Absolutely.
If you spend too much time alone, you start pondering in your thoughts, and a lot of people, I know for a fact, so many performers are like, I don't want to perform anymore. Like, I've got a group of friends that we're all performers, and it was just horrible. It was, luckily enough, I have that kind of support group in my friends, that it was, luckily enough, we weren't all down on the same day, but it was like everybody had their day, and it was just like, guys, I'm feeling rubbish today. And you need to kind of chat with people as well. Like, I feel like I have bonded with my dad because I'm back here in my parents' house. I feel like I've bonded with my dad more than I have any other time.
Oh, that's really...
There is some positives in this wild life we have right now. A lot of negatives, but you need to just be very optimistic about it and just think of the upside to things.
Well, thank you so much for telling us about your wonderful Lists Long as Your Arm musical theatre. Long may it continue. and yeah, being the first person to be part of our Virtually Fringe. Obviously, you'll see the little link in our bio. That's obviously because our Virtually Fringe is where we usually make most of our money every single year. So anyone that's watching, if you've enjoyed listening to anything, all Elly, and we'll get you again. But if you've enjoyed listening to anything that's gone on, you can drop the price of a coffee, you can drop anything that you can into the crowdfunder link. But we'll get you back on and we'll have a little sing song from you.
Yes.
So much for taking the time out.
Thank you so much for having me. And yeah, I hope everybody has a lovely day.
Enjoy the rest of your Sunday, everyone, and we shall drop the next person for tomorrow, right after this.
Ooh. We need some music.
Like an outro music. Bye!
But thank you, bye! I don't know how to get off this now. Do I just push the X?